Alright, beep, let's do this. First thing first, the name is the LUI, okay? Secondly, the game is the game of Mr. Olympia 2016. Thirdly, the very subject, the collision at the top. Now, most likely, presumably, and admittedly actually, as far as I see it right now, these two guys will be the two last man standing in the last call out and in that final night on Sunday. I have almost no doubt about it. As per now, unless something unusual happens, like Big Ramy gets transformed by aliens, he will be diced to the socks out of the box, all kinds of cuts and separation, or Sean Rodden gains 20 pounds of roundness and he will mesmerize me. But until then, I really do not see any other guys doing battle for the top position aside from these two guys. And battle it will be, as per their last footage, which is kind of unusual because usually guys do not post very revealing videos 3 weeks out, but he made an exception. Talking about Dexter Jackson, because it was in his trainer's hometown, namely George Farah. And George Farah has to do a lot with this outcome and the battle that will basically culminate in the collision of these two guys. So let us geek out about that dramatic night, which will happen more or less 3 weeks from now. This was back in the day. Both of them were next to the Master Blaster himself, the Godfather, right, Joe Weider. They were being groomed to be the next Mr. Olympias. Probably this was in the Jay Cutler era. As you guys know, Heath was coming with a very tight momentum behind his back. He won 2 pro shows and, you know, everybody was expecting him. So we saw him coming. That didn't happen since the days of this dude right here. Flex, the Sultan of Symmetry Wheeler. Flex Wheeler with the same gentleman, may he rest in peace, Joe Weider. He also was being groomed to be the next Mr. Olympia. He came with 2 wins behind his back, very solid wins, the Ironman and also the Arnold Classic, both in 1993. We saw this guy coming. He was already good in the NPC 1992, and then he collided with Dorian Yates in 93. He was a solid second, so everybody was expecting this guy could be the next best thing. But unfortunately, he was partying on it nightly with Dr. Dre and Tupac and all the rest of the gangs basically in the West Coast, and he made a fatal, actually, a dramatic accident in his Mercedes-Benz, and he wrecked his neck, and the rest, his history, basically his career went basically, you know, doing some yo-yo game after that. To be noted, he also won the 1997 Arnold Classic, one of the best shapes of his life, but he was attacked by 3 ninjas prior to Mr. Olympia. But then again, haha, proceed, shall we? The talk is about these two guys. This was last year. A lot of guys were saying that Dexter was very close. Well, he was, but not very. I'll remove the word very with all due respect. I think he was close, but not close enough, in the sense that he faded at the end. He looked a little bit flatter than the title holder, Mr. Olympia, and it shows in this picture. I mean, look at his chest was a little bit, you know, as flat as Texas, whereas Mr. Olympia, it was belly, he's really pleased, all kind of roundness, the veins were there, so he held basically his strength until the end, and this was the determinant factor. Dexter is amazing. The only thing he was lacking so far, and he acknowledged that this year, was a little bit of size and roundness. He was given every year to Mr. Olympia, right? So he was not able to fulfill that dream of beating him 5 times, actually, right? He was actually dominant back in the day. This was, I think, 2008 when he won his only Mr. Olympia, where Jay Cutler came in a little bit fat with wrinkles on his back. This was Melvin Anthony, right? He's an old-timer. Melvin probably is younger than Dexter, but he's out of the picture. A testament to how basically this freaking blade vampire lasts in the game. This was Ben Weider, I think. May he rest in peace as well. His guy. By the way, Ben Weider and Joe are native of my country, of my city, Montreal, Canada, right? So this was it. These guys are colliding since ever. This was in the days of Jay Cutler, when he was holding them back with serious mass. He was massive with his famous stomp pose. He was holding these two guys from the top position. Back in the day, the bubble gut was fashionable. Both of them had bubble, trouble gut, bonanza. And trust me, the guy on the back, namely Dennis Wolf, had a one of his own, right? Right now, it is persona non grata. We don't salute the bubble gut bonanza. So this was it. That were very close since ever. Pretty much, you can almost say that in almost every position, Phil Heath is a bigger version of Dexter Jackson. Pretty much. I mean, he looks more massive. Is it out angling? Some people will say, bro, he always stepped forward. No, quite frankly, he's just a little bit bigger, and it shows. This position, though, this pose, though, what? It was a take-home pose for Mr. Olympia of back then. He looked, he's wide, admittedly, in the hips, but he is diced to the socks out of the box. I mean, he never lost this pose even to Ronnie Coleman, who had a 4-pack, just like Mr. Olympia of right now. I mean, his abs look a little bit like a 4-pack, whereas Dexter, he has a complete set of almost a solid 6-pack, surrounded by the midsection is just the fingers everywhere, and this will be a determinant pose this year amongst other poses. Baby, please. As I mentioned, Dennis Wolf was pregnant back then. Bubble, trouble gut, bonanza. Please notice that these guys, the bubble gut seems to start, it's like a peak underneath the belly button. That's because of vitamin G combined with vitamin S-L-I-N. Since we know that this guy is not obviously competing, we just saw a video of him posted yesterday, and his face is bloated like he is bulking for 2 years. So there's no way this guy will be in Mr. Olympia. Quite a shame, but he is sufficiently pleased by his Arnold wins, right? He happens to be trained by this famous Lebanese, baby please, ex-IFBB pro, Mr. George Farah. I'm trying to say it with a Lebanese accent. George Farah, right? This guy eats freaking shish taouk and shawarma on a daily. This guy really has a grudge versus actually the fact that he was not able to beat Phil Heath with all his athletes, and he had a slew of them, right? You can see here, he says Kai is more dominant than Phil, but the results say otherwise, right? As you guys know, this is actually the trainer of Mr. Phil Heath, another guy from the Middle East in a sense, Persia. His name is Hani Rambat. This guy is winning Mr. Olympias since ever, since the days of Jay Cutler. This guy was basically prepping Jay Cutler as well, and then he moved to Phil Heath, so he is reigning on the guru game since ever. Whereas this guy, unfortunately, he has no Mr. Olympia under his belt, so he has some kind of a grudge versus that fact, and he has a slew of athletes, as I mentioned, Branch Warren, Biggie Small, and Junior Mafia. He has, of course, Kai Green and Dexter Jack. Now, Kai, the Predator, is admittedly out of the game, so he has to bank on Dexter the Blade Jackson, probably one of his last shot. He tried even with Big Ramy for 1 year, unsuccessfully. So he won the Brazil, Mr. Actually Arnold Classic, but that was actually the last time he was successful with him, unfortunately. So right now he has to bank on this guy, Dexter Jack. As I mentioned previously, believe me, this is not out angling. Now, of course, you can see that certain muscle group, Mr. Olympia, is just more dominant. Namely, even from the front, I mean, the calves are just bigger, more developed. I do not think that he is stepping forward on this picture. I think that next to each other, and you can clearly see that the 3D effect and just the mass, the sheer size, the bellies, babies of Mr. Olympia are just more prominent. It is undeniable. Look at the arms, they're just bigger. The chest comes in forward. Same goes with the delts and so on and so forth, right? So in this pose, if you are an IFBB oil spill judge, you cannot basically give the point to Dexter Jack, because Dexter Jack is good, he's complete, but he's lacking the size of Mr. Olympia, so he will always lose at the end of the day in this pose. unless he gets bigger, which he intends to do this year. It remains to be seen. It's all cool to see, a video about him when he looks big and whatnot, but the D-Day, the Mr. Olympia Day, prejudgment and the final comparison is where the money is at. We'll see if he will be able to box with Mr. Olympia in the size game. What do we have here? This was a basically side triceps. I was listening, who was the commentator last year? I think it was Palombo as well. And he was saying, this is, if I do recall, he was saying this is big for Sean Rodden. He said Sean Rodden looks thicker than Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath. And I was like, what? What are these guys talking about? So it was either Palombo or Romano, a guy, a friend of him, right? And then the same guy, Romano, after the show was won by Phil Heath, he said, bro, you know what? After all, I think it is better for us to see the show from home on HD because we have a better perspective. And I do agree. Probably if I go to Miss Olympia this year, I would suck because the perspective will not be that good. So it's better for us to watch Miss Olympia from home. Have a Coke Zero. Talking about Coke Zero, let me open up one right now, live. Listen to that, bro. Properly opened. That's it. So, alright, even if you're a newbie to bodybuilding, take a look at this pic and tell me how the hell do you not see Phil Heath in the lead? Clearly in the lead, admittedly on a nightly, bigger than both guys, thicker. That arm is just taking its independence. The triceps is the second biggest in the game after that of Rolly Winkler. Lower section, the sweep is as amazing as the other. He's just bigger. He's bringing more 3D. Granted, Dexter is second here, but Phil Heath has a comfortable lead. He can afford to say, line them up, I'll kill them. Because why is he killing them right now? He's just with the mass. More 3D, more mass. That's as simple as that. It's not more complicated. These guys are top level. It is nit picking at hair picking at this level. These guys are like the cream of the crop, right? How is Phil Heath dominant here? More 3D, bigger. As simple as that. No more muscle maturity. None of that shit. Proceed. Shall we? This pose here, as I mentioned previously, can be a banking pose for Dexter Jackson, right? In theory, he will always get it better than Mr. Olympia. Mr. Olympia, it's one of his weakest poses. It does not flow well. Forget about the midsection. Even basically his arms, he does not hold them well up there. That it doesn't flow well with even the lats, because the judges are not only looking at the midsection. Now midsection, of course, Dexter is better, more complete, more beautiful. That is a given, right? But take a look at the lats. Even the lats flow well. It's like Phil Heath is always struggling to hold this pose. I think it is one of his weakest pose. Dexter Jackson usually wins this pose no matter what. Side chest. They don't look alike. Phil Heath has kind of a special way of holding his side chest. It does not resemble nobody. Some people say he resembles Kevin Lavroni. By no means. Kevin basically looks actually like a bigger version of Dexter in this sense. It's like the arm is being brought upward. You don't even see basically the trap. Whereas Phil Heath, his brings it down because he is narrow upstairs. However, that chest is just peaks. It's a freaking peak, right? Downstairs, it's a toss-up. The only superior body part, again, is the calf, which, unfortunately, Dexter Jackson, I think he's hurt or whatever, but his calves were never his biggest asset. Aside from that, bro, you can toss it up. You can give the nod to Phil Heath or, Dexter Jack when it comes to the sweep, when it comes to the outer head of that quad and so on and so forth, right? But why Phil Heath would usually win this pose is because of his 3D effect coming at you. The delt is just jumping outward, and the chest edges are like freaking Grand Canyon, for God's sake. Look at that. He has like a freaking hole. Really. It's really a hole. That's the chest edge, and he contracts it. He contracts both pectorals, whereas basically Dexter does it like everybody, like pretty much all the bodybuilders. He contracts only the left one. So Phil Heath has a very intricate way of doing it, which makes it kind of special, and usually the judges love that. Proceed shall we? Granted, an old picture, but then again, it doesn't matter. They look alike. Now, you can see basically that the size difference still shows, even though back then Phil Heath was smaller. But right now, he took his independence, so he got a little bit bigger. But this is a very, very close pose. If I was looking at these two guys with this same size right now, they are really as close as you can get. Tell me, bro. I mean, tell me, is it Dexter? Is it Phil? Be my guest. Both are very, very good in this pose. I cannot basically split them. But as I said, remember, Phil Heath usually is bigger right now than this. This is an old picture as well. Right, I think it was 2010, right? So even back then, Phil Heath, he has that 3D effect. He spoke about it lately in this video. The back was his weakest point. So he treated himself like 2 years, and he could not grow sidewards in a sense. He had to bring that meaty part downstairs we see in the Ronnie Coleman's and the Dorian Yates of this world. But the back of Dexter Jackson that I just saw this week is also amazing. If he comes bigger, he can box with Phil Heath in this pose. Believe me, he can push him, right? So it will be that close as well. Right? What do we have here? Okay, back lat spread. Phil Heath is very, very strong in this pose, and Dexter is also good. He looks a little bit narrow from the top, actually, very slightly. Like the traps happen to be, correct me if I'm wrong, the biggest muscle upstairs. They're a little bit thicker in Phil Heath case, and the meaty part that creates this shadowy figure, almost like a hole downstairs, is also just thicker in Miss Olympia. So again, he wins only by the size game. It is that close, right? It's always been that close. This picture, quite frankly, is a little bit. It showcases the completeness of Dexter. Dexter lacks nothing except from the calves, and if he makes anything bigger, he will be able to reach this mass game, right? He can hold actually guys like Rolly Winkler, who was second to him this year, a few months ago in the New York Pro. But Rolly Winkler is not Phil Heath. His physique does not flow well. Genetically, he has like kind of a taller torso than the rest of the body, and it doesn't make him look aesthetic. But versus a complete Miss Olympia like Phil Heath, the only way for him to win would be to add mass, which he intends to do. This was last year, wasn't it? Right? He was very close. Lastly, this pose, the front lat spread of Dexter Jackson. I think that he will have to bank on it as well, just like the abs and thighs. Both these poses, abs and thighs and front lat spread, are not the best asset of the current Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath. That I guarantee you. He is too narrow upstairs, and his arms are so large. They make it look a little bit awkward. They like outsize the lats, which should not be the case. The lats are a big muscle. It is called lat spread. There should be the very muscle that attracts the eye, right? In basically the case of Dexter Jackson, it flows very well. So it is a take-home pose. I think he will win any day of the week versus Phil Heath in this position. Being bigger or smaller, it doesn't matter. He just gets it better aesthetically. This is Phil Heath, what I was talking about. His arms are just overgrown, oversized, so they overshadow somehow the lats. I personally think it is one of his weakest poses, right? This was it. I mean, different years. This was the famous 2011 year versus 2010. So even back then, granted, admittedly, the arms are so huge, humongous. Even the radiobrachialis, they overshadow the lats. So in my opinion, it's not his best pose. To be compared with the Shadow himself, you can see the very difference. This is versus Dorian Yates. Of course, you can almost say, bro, it's unfair because it is Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates has probably the best front lat spread ever. But just to showcase, look at the ratio between the arms and the lats, right? It is more pleasing in the case of that Brit, Mr. Yates, whereas Mr. Olympia of today, the arms are just humongous, overshadowing, basically powering somehow the lats. So these will be the two banking poses of Dexter Jackson. The abs and thighs, which is, in my opinion, weak in the case of Mr. Olympia, right? 4-pack all day and every day, kind of crooked. He's not Sean Ray, right? And he is not Thierry Pastel, the French guy. He is not Yates, of course. And certainly he is not Dexter, the Blade Jackson. All kind of ridges, Grand Canyon, all kind of valleys, baby please. And even the lats flow well. The intersection out there is just properly displayed, right? I think he will win in these poses any day of the week. When it comes to the rest, to close this video, he just need to get bigger. That's the only thing that was holding him back for 5 years versus Heath. Will he be bigger successfully this year? Meaning, keeping the sharpness that he is renowned for, being the blade, always razor sharp and hard and do not fade at the end. If he does that, we have a show, boys and girls. We absolutely have a show, and have not a single doubt that at this precise moment, Mr. Heath has only one name in his head, and that is Mr. Dexter the Blade Jackson. That's it. Salute you wherever you is on a daily basis. Baby, please don't forget to like the video and tell me what you guys think about it, bruh. Properly executed video, bruh.